Yo, what's up, guys? Let's talk about vices. The more you have, and or you had in the past. You know what I'm saying? The more vices that you have right now, or the vices that you had and you've gotten rid of, will continue to plague you. So, what do you do? It's a good question. All right. So, the nature of sin, if it is more habitual, right? So, the longer you do it, the duration, the more it has grown and the bigger it's become. So you can cut it down like a tree, right? But the roots are still going to be there. The roots are going to be into the bones of you, like in your soul. Like those, that after effect will always plague you. So, memories, thoughts, all of that type of stuff will stick with you. So this goes for an island can speak about men's stuff. So that's like, what plagues us guys is usually impurity. Probably who could be like careerism or something like that, or like worship of money, worship of security, um, impurity, the corn, um, a lot of fornication, stuff of that nature. It's going to stick in your mind. So you can cut those things down. You have to start doing it. You could easily take those steps right now by building up a discipline in life, and you can categorize and know where you shouldn't be or shouldn't be alone or shouldn't be alone with a certain device or whatever it might be. All right, let's get back to it. So you can cut those down. The roots are still going to be there. They're going to be kind of intertwined with your soul. The longer the habitual vice or sin or whatever it is has gone on, the deeper it is. It's going to be inside you. So here's the deal. It's going to leave you scarred at best, right? That scar is going to be there. It's going to be a memory that you're always going to have, and you're going to have to fight that fight of holy obedience to overcome it. Now, here's the really cool kicker, right? So the devil likes to invert everything good and try to make a good and evil like by inversion. But you can do that too. Not like the devil, but you can invert it as well. So here's how this works. So all of those memories are always going to be there, whatever plagues you, like, impure thoughts, whatever it might be. Vices, like, I don't, maybe you gave up drinking, maybe you did this, fornication. It's always going to like plague you, like how easy it is to like grab your phone and look up some corn or go view impure images or whatever it might be, or have impure thoughts that you're just walking down the street. So, what you can do is, since that memory is going to always be there, you can invert it too. Because guess who else does that? God can turn a great tribulation into a great good. So, here's how this works. So, this can be either you decide, it's up to you how you mentally form this, but it can either be this great burden to you of always want to click and get, whatever it might be, or you can make it a great strength. So let's figure this out. So if you only let it be a burden that you carry alone, you are doomed. Like, you're doomed. If that's a burden that you alone, solo, carry around, it's going to doom you. I promise. You can't get over this solo. That's not how it works. You can try. There's been many people that try and they, crash and burn and crash and burn and crash and burn. And there's nothing wrong with the crashing and burning process. There's a there's a problem with you trying to do this solo. So here's the thing. If you try and carry it and heal it all by yourself, you're going to be crushed by the weight and succumb to your wounds. Now here's the thing. Here's how to fix it. If you're going to come to this burden, these roots, you got to get them all out. You got to get these thoughts out. You're going to come to this in prayer, right? With God's divine assistance, you can overcome it in long trials. And these long trials, here's the deal, they're meant to chastise you. Like, so just know that, right? These long trials are chastising you. And during that chastisement, you're going to be strengthened because you know who chastises in the Bible. Always, God chastises. You know who God chastises? Chastises both the good and the wicked, but he chastises whom he loves, right? So God's giving these things to you in your life, these temptations for you to push up against with him and to overcome and get this great strength. So chastisements are God's will. Prepare to have many battles against this enemy, always and non-stop. So that memory of sin, those roots that are in you, the scarring of all those poor things that you did in your past, they're always going to be with you. That enemy's always going to be kind of just that you're just coming like that. But it's going to give you non-stop combat. And if you non-stop combat with God, it's going to harden you and it's going to forge you, right? When you're being forged, you're being strengthened. So God is going to help strengthen you through those trials and tribulations, those chastisements, as a good father does, right? That's what a good father does. A good father doesn't say, "Oh, poor you. Oh, I'll just do it for you." No, that's a weak father. They don't do that. That doesn't happen. They help you and they give you guidance on how to do it. They chastise you. They help get you stronger. Because if you just baby everyone, then no one grows. No one does anything. You're just a waste. So, good father does chastise his children. He corrects them. That's really tough. All right. So, temptations that seem great will dissipate as your obedience under God and the battle and the fasting and the prayer and your holy obedience increase. So, here's what you got to do. The temptations are going to seem very great, but they will dissipate. What was big once is going to be a lot smaller. It's the same size, but you've grown stronger. That's the deal. You're able to just push that off, push it off, because you've grown stronger with God. So in obedience to our Lord, in obedience to knowing that battle is put in front of you for you to, make those wins, right? Start having those wins with our Lord. Fasting will create a lot of strength, right? Because when you fast, that's like, sex and fasting, like those are some of your lowest base desires, like wanting to be comfortable. Fasting makes you uncomfortable. The discipline of holy obedience makes you uncomfortable. I know a lot of you guys, like, you don't want to be at church on Sunday. Like, everybody wants to sleep in, not get up, not go to the gym, but that obedience to your daily life, your station in life, being a father, being a son, being a young man, getting in the gym, getting to mass, going to confession, if you're Catholic, that's going to build up this internal strength inside you, and it's going to forge you. So fasting, prayer, holy obedience. When you fast, it builds that, it taps down that base desire, which in turn fixes a lot of other base desires, like gross desires, like lust, things that you shouldn't be doing, even with your mind, right? Because that's what our Lord calls us to, even with your mind. You can't let those thoughts get out of control. So, next, do not let the devil, that's the enemy, steal this great battle from you, right? This battle is in front of you. Don't let it be taken away. It's meant to chastise you. It's meant for you and God, or God and you, to go up against. Because the devil always inverts nature, right? He always is going to turn something good into something not good, right? So, the phrase love is love, or whatever, human nature, all that nonsense, like, what I'm talking about. It's always an inversion. Like going to the gym, like, they can invert that. Devil inverts that real quick. It makes you worship yourself. Taking care of your family, you could invert that real quick. It makes you a workaholic. You think you're doing good, but you're really a workaholic. You're taken away from the family. Everything can quickly get inverted. Same thing with even the practice of religion. If you're a married man and a father, like, you can't be running off to church all day to go pray and fast all day. Your primary concern is the family, right? Not your only concern, but God, then your family. God, then your family. That's how it works every single time. You can't invert that, because then it would be a great sin. And any good confessor would tell you that. So the devil always inverts nature. So instead, let these temptations, with God's help, your prayer, your fasting, confessing, going to mass, discipline, holy obedience, okay? Let it instead strengthen you and purify you as God intends. Let these temptations strengthen and purify you as God intends. Because every time you walk away from a temptation and you kind of do that push off, you're pushing off those temptations, like literally, like imagine, like, you got a shield and you're pushing off temptations. You're going to get stronger every single time with God's help. And let that suffering that you have be offered up to God. Now, here, I'll tell you a mistake that I made. I was like, all right, I'm going to do all this suffering, whatever. I'm going to offer it up for my intentions, other people, like things that I wanted. Things that I wanted. And I did that for a long time, and I fudged it up big time, guys. Super fudged it up. So that suffering that you're getting, let it be offered up to God. Now, check it out. First, for his will, not yours. So that's really tough. So you're going to offer your suffering up, your trials, your fasting, not for your will, right? But for God's will. So whatever God intends to do with that act of penance and submission to him, you're just going to hand it over, right? Could go to somebody far, far away that you could care less about. It could go to your enemy. Isn't that worse? Because that kind of upsets you a little bit. But guess what? You can't. You can't let that upset you. God's going to do with your suffering that you battle up against, like, offer it up. Just offer it up at the altar. Offer it up to God. Offer that temptation up. You get through that temptation, just offer those sufferings up. Offer that fasting up. So offer it to God. So it's his will to do what he wants with your penance. Maybe it's going to benefit you. Maybe it's going to benefit your family. Maybe it's going to benefit somebody you've never met in your entire life. And that's something to think about. You have to let go of your pride of wanting to offer up the suffering for something that you want, and instead hand it over in perfect charity to our Lord. Handing over your suffering in perfect charity. No strings attached. Just handing it over to our Lord for whatever he intends for your penitential suffering. So that's it, guys. So more vices. They're going to be harder to root out, and take those on and know that the devil's going to tempt you. You're going to have to push against those. Bring in God, bring in fasting, bring in discipline, bring in holy obedience, and you're going to get through it. Subscribe to my channel if you like this video. Leave a comment. I'll keep putting out stuff like this here and there when it comes. See ya.